The first Cars movie was released in 2006, and over 10 years later, this franchise finds it still has a lot of road to cover. The teaser trailer for Cars 3 dropped in November of 2016, and fans have been speculating about it ever since. In a more recent movie trailer, it ends with the sentence, "From this moment, everything will change." This sounds like a real game changer for our favorite race car, and we're here to help figure out where the road leads for Lightning McQueen. Get those engines started, because we're about to take off. Remember to press that red button to subscribe before we put the pedal to the metal and this video takes off.
How will I ever find anyone else who knows how to fill me up with gas?
Lightning McQueen is back. It's important to know that yes, Lightning McQueen is back. With the release of a new film, there's always the chance that the original cast of characters doesn't make it to the sequels. There had been speculation that perhaps McQueen would not be returning to the driver's seat of Cars 3 because of the introduction of new characters like hotshot newcomer Jackson Storm. Would Storm be the new lead car of the pack? Storm replacing McQueen in at least this film is doubtful. Don't worry, McQueen is in all the trailers, official summaries, and spoilers. Cars 3 is his journey. We do know that the plot centers around a terrible crash that befalls McQueen during a race. The kind of career-altering crash that can be hard to come back from. Audiences have seen McQueen overcome obstacles, but never like this before. It'd be difficult to have a Cars movie without McQueen, as audiences have come to know and love him since the first Cars film premiered in 2006. It's been 6 years since we last saw McQueen and Mater racing in the World Grand Prix. A lot can happen during 6 years. The film is sure to explore where all of our favorite characters have been all this time while looking to the future of the franchise. For now, we know Lightning McQueen will not be in the backseat for this one.
Morning, Sleeping Beauty!
Lightning's new sidekick. When you hit the road, you don't want to go it alone. You never know what the road ahead is going to bring. There may be lots of twists and turns. You may accidentally take the wrong exit and end up far away from your destination. It can be lonely, which is why you should always have a friend along for the ride. A sidekick to keep you company and help keep you on track when you veer off. In Cars 3, Lightning McQueen is going to have a new companion to help guide him. His new friend is Cruz Ramirez. She's described as energetic and fun. As a trainer on McQueen's team, she's going to have to go wheel to wheel with him. McQueen can be a stubborn car, and Cruz is going to be sticking by his side to help after the crash, whether he likes it or not. Her car is a sleek yellow car with a sporty look. From the trailers and promotional videos, Cruz Ramirez is seen bearing the Rust-eze Racing Center Team 95 badge. She's a high-performance vehicle that can reach upwards of 210 miles per hour. Female comedian, actress, and writer Cristela Alonso, who's best known for her own self-titled comedy show, as well as being a frequent guest host on the talk show The View, will be McQueen's new mentor, Cruz Ramirez. She's going to bring a strong female voice to Cars 3 and help McQueen get back on track. It has a darker tone. Pixar movies are widely known for their light, fun, and sometimes silly tone. The films are peppered with humor, adventures that bring friends and family closer together, and positive learning experiences. While Cars 3 will certainly have these elements, the perspective of the film is coming from a less lighthearted place and a more, perhaps darker tone. We know that Lightning McQueen suffers a terrible accident during a race. McQueen is seen skidding out of control. Cut to a slow motion sequence of pieces flying and burning. He's flipping slow motion through the air, the sound of metal grinding. McQueen is being told that every time he loses, he damages himself, that his racing days are coming to an end. Those are some heavy words and a reality to face. Losing on the track means more now than ever before. To make matters worse, McQueen is having difficulty performing against the newer, faster, sleeker race cars that are revving to go. As overall themes, Cars 3 is asking more big-picture questions that perhaps adults more than children can relate to. McQueen is having to deal with getting older and what it means to be able to perform and live up to the expectations set by his younger self. What happens when you aren't as fast as you used to be? When you aren't winning as much as you used to? Getting older means having to adapt and change when sometimes you don't want to. Real-life athletes. As we talked about earlier, Cars 3 is taking on a more serious tone compared to the previous two films. We've seen McQueen grow up and mature, overcome obstacles, and learn what it takes to succeed on and off the track. The third film tackles a lot of big-picture themes, revolving around the concepts of getting older, failure, comebacks, what it's like to be aging in a sport that relies on your youth. How do you deal with that? How do you know when it's your time to retire? How do you walk away from a sport that you've given your life to being a part of, that you love so much? What if you can't be a part of the sport you love anymore? What do you do then? How do you know when it's time to walk away? These are all really tough questions that are complicated and affect the rest of one's life. Even though Lightning McQueen is a fictional Pixar animated character, the doubts, fears, and questions he must face are very real. Which is why the Pixar team turned to real-life athletes to help them answer some of these questions while writing the script. I mean, who better to know what it's like when you have a possible career-ending injury than the person who's experienced it? The Pixar writing team sought out help and researched some of the most famous athletes of our time. They researched the careers of basketball legends Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. After all, if you're writing a comeback story, Michael Jordan certainly comes to mind after his return to basketball after his attempt at baseball. Writers also spoke with Jeff Gordon, whose expertise in race car driving was an asset to the team. All of the athletes influenced the script.
See you at the finish line, What?
New car on the lot. From what we can tell, Cars 3 is going to use the idea of old versus new as one of the themes for the plot. To make Lightning McQueen feel like he can't compete like he could when he was younger, Cars 3 is introducing rookie racer Jackson Storm. In some ways, Jackson Storm mirrors the Lightning McQueen from the first Cars. He's new to the scene, doesn't care much about what the other cars think, a kind of know-it-all who thinks he's the best car on the track. Jackson Storm provides a nice parallel to McQueen. In looks and personality though, McQueen and Storm are very different from one another. Storm has all the newest technology and abilities. His body is black with a blue trim. On the bumper is written Igniter Liquid Adrenaline and the number 20. His edges are rounded and smooth, giving him an agile, aerodynamic look, as if he was made in the future and came back in time to race. Jackson Storm comes with a carbon fiber and metal alloy body, giving him that sleek feel. When he gets going on the track, he can get up to 214 miles per hour with a V8 engine that has 850 horsepower. Now all the cars on the track are having a tough time beating him. Jackson Storm is voiced by Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer is best known for his roles in The Social Network, The Lone Ranger, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. While Jackson is going to be the bad boy on the track trying to steal the lightning away from McQueen, it may be difficult to look away.
He just likes me for my body.
Less Mater in Cars 3. The second Cars movie had a lot more Mater in it than the first one. This was partly due to the popularity of the character and the storyline itself. It's more believable that affable, goofball Mater would fall into an international espionage ring than, say, Doc Hudson. However, Pixar would have had a challenging time making that storyline because Paul Newman, the voice of Doc Hudson, passed away in 2008 before filming began. While the Cars franchise is always going to have an ensemble cast, Cars has first and foremost always been about Lightning McQueen. Cars 2, to a certain degree, veered off-road when it came to giving so much screen time to Mater and not as fully focused on McQueen. To get back on track, Cars 3 has lessened the appearances and importance of Mater. In the Cars 3 movie trailer, McQueen can be seen talking to Mater via some kind of Skype-like way on his laptop. In addition, the introduction of all new characters means that our old favorites must get less screen time. Cars 3 is about the journey McQueen takes as he tries to figure out what to do in the next stage of his racing career against newcomers like Jackson Storm. To focus on that journey, some of our old friends get less screen time. It appears that Mater will have the reduced role to make way for the new, which is a little meta in itself. Mater, as a legacy character from the first two films, has a hard time competing with the new Cars 2, just in a different way. Guess that voice. One of the best parts about animated films is getting to guess the voice of the characters, especially when there are a few Easter eggs in there that can be hard to get right. Pixar loves to toss in a few hard ones, but we have the inside scoop on who Pixar snagged to do guest voices on Cars 3. We'll tell you who the voices are, but not who their character is going to be. We can't make it too easy for you. Because Cars 3 is centered so much around NASCAR racing, it makes sense Pixar would seek out the voices of NASCAR racers of yesterday and today, where McQueen and Jackson Storm college as old and new. Some of the voices in the cast are the one and only Jeff Gordon, who is 4-time NASCAR champion. Gordon was also a story consultant on Cars 3 to help ensure the accuracy of the race car world on the big screen. Chris Elliott, who was named 2016 Sunoco Rookie of the Year. Darrell Waltrip, who is a NASCAR Hall of Fame driver. He was also in Cars and Cars 2. Crew chief to Jeff Gordon, Ray Evernham is joining the cast this year. Richard the King Petty, as he's known, will be lending his voice. He has over 200 wins as a race car driver, and as Mater would say, knows how to get her done.
They're free, Mater.
Free? Well, shoot, what am I doing here?
Inspiration for the new sidekick. Even though the Cars franchise is set in a fantastical world where cars have personalities, lives, can talk, sleep, and make friends, the story itself is rooted in the real world. Even if an audience member can't see it with their eyes on the big screen, Pixar has worked to make the characters, dialogue, and themes relatable. Pixar is known for its attention to detail. In all their films, the writers, artists, animators, and director make sure to do their research. It may not be easy to detect, but there are real-world influences in every one of their films. In Cars 3, you might think that newcomer Cruz Ramirez is an entirely fictional character. Writers sat in a room and made up everything about her personality, thoughts, and intentions. After all, how can a talking yellow car be anything but pure imagination? Ramirez's personality is inspired and influenced by Pixar's conversations with real-life women. Pixar sought out the help of real-life professional race car driver Danica Patrick, a trailblazer in professional racing. As the first female NASCAR driver, Danica Patrick helped the writers to better understand and write Cruz Ramirez. Like Danica, Cruz Ramirez is a woman in a male-dominated sport. It was very important to the writers that they get what it's like to live that life and accurately portray it on the screen. Writers even interviewed Cristela Alonso, the voice of Cruz Ramirez, to get her perspective and incorporate it into the character. Let's get technical. What's important to the Pixar team is that they get the details right. From the tread of the tire to the way the cars would round the NASCAR track, details matter to this team. Which is why it takes approximately 250 individuals at its peak working on this film to get it done. The staff work on a variety of the film's elements: layouts, storyboards, models, computer animation, writing, visual effects, voiceovers, and directing. Even if it's a talking car, which is a total fantasy, it's not like our cars are sitting in the garage talking to each other at this moment. Or are they?
Lousy.
First-time Pixar director Brian Fee wants it to feel as though if cars could talk, that this is how they would look. That the film feels as real as possible. Brian Fee has been quoted as saying, "It's the real world and they're real people with real problems." Which is why the writers and animators work so hard to get details and ground the story in real-life sensibilities. To that end, each of the cars starts off as a clay sculpture made by a member of the production design team. Pictures are taken of the sculptures, and from there, the pictures are digitally colored in. Every element of the film has been thought out and has a purpose. When it comes to animating the speed, motion, drift, and movements of the car, animators use simulation software to make it feel like a real car. This is what sets Cars 3 and Pixar apart. Real-life racers? Continuing with the theme that Pixar makes it their mission to use real-life individuals and events as inspiration for their films, Cars 3 is no exception. In Cars 3, the film pays homage to actual NASCAR races from the 1940s and 1950s. It's a subtle way for the film to acknowledge the legacy of NASCAR. If you're not an avid fan of NASCAR racing, or even aware of its history, it could be easy to overlook their fictionalized film counterparts. After the crash and McQueen finding himself on the road to recovery and figuring out what to do next in life, he finds himself back on the comeback trail. Part of that trail will briefly take McQueen back to Route 66 and Radiator Springs, which should delight fans of the original film. We'll also get some special guest stars of characters we loved from the first two films, like Sally, Flo, Sarge, Dusty and Rusty, Bob Cutlass, and more. Lightning McQueen also crosses paths with a group known as the Dirt Track Quartet. These older, more experienced cars provide McQueen with advice and support. The Dirt Track Quartet are based off real-life racing legends. Pixar writers met with them during the early research phase to help get their expertise for the script. We don't want to give too much away, but they get turned into some neat-looking old-timey cars. It's a really nice way for Pixar to pay their respects to the drivers who helped pave the way for race car driving. Cars 3 will be crossing the finish line when it's released worldwide this June. We hope this list has revved up your excitement engines as much as ours. What are you looking forward to most when it comes out? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like and share this video. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button. We have videos daily, and we don't want you to miss out on a single one.